Hello, folks. Thanks for joining us for another Lovecraft Country recap. I'm Ron. Today, with me, as always, I have Dee and Courtney. What's up, guys?
Hello.
Hi.
And we're here to talk about. Dee,
Oh, wait, what is that, D?
what a nice cup! Oh my, wow,
Wow.
wow.
Is that changing color with
Can
the
you see it?
temperature
Doesn't it
of
look
the liquid?
refreshing?
You know what, Courtney? It looks like it's changing colors. Oh my
It's
god,
changing color based on the temperature of the liquid.
Dee, I want one of those cups. How can
How
I
do we
get
get
one?
one?
Well, I would think that maybe comments here would get you one. If we get to a certain number of YouTube subscribers. Courtney, how do they subscribe to our YouTube?
It's so easy. So they could go to the Kids Wear Crowns on YouTube. It's so easy. Oh my goodness. And all you have to do is go to our channel and there should be a little red subscribe button. All you have to do is hit that red subscribe button. And if you hit the little bell that's next to that, you get notifications when we get when we go live and we upload videos.
It's so easy, so simple, and so refreshing.
So refreshing.
It sounds pretty simple, folks. It sounds pretty simple. So maybe you should do that. But yeah, seriously. As we go through this episode, recap, drop your comments. Tell us what you thought about it. If you have questions, we'll put those. And okay. I was about to say D.
No,
D
no free sponsorships.
Yeah. No. The price of the brick going up after yesterday. Sorry.
That's right. We only get paid for our sponsorships here.
Way up.
But yeah, do you give us a recap of the previous episode?
Okay, last week's episode, which was episode 8, yes?
Yes.
Was titled Jigabobo. And it starts out with the funeral of Emmett Till, who we have kind of figured out along the way, of course, that Bobo was his nickname and that he is Dee's friend who was going on a trip who didn't make it. Unfortunately, it was awful. I want to add that we mentioned that Dee asked, "What's that smell?" And it seemed a little weird at first, but I think that was purposeful because she wanted that so she would recognize the smell if she ever smelled it again. Hippolyta was still missing. Dee was attacked by the police captain. I still don't know his name.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I think it's Lancaster, but like Courtney said,
Lancaster. It doesn't matter. I don't want to utter his name.
Him. Yeah, he who shall not be named. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Dee is attacked by him, and he casts a spell on her, and it makes her see these two. What should we call them? Spirits, demons.
Demons, I think. Like they're supposed to be like an actual name of what they're based on. But yeah, they're demons.
Topsy and Bopsy. They are
Topsy and Bopsy, that's right.
Choreographed, contortionist dancing dolls who follow her and pop out to make sure that she does not tell anyone what happened to her at the hands of Captain who shall not be named. We see Jaya, she's back. And y'all hear echo? I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Jaya, she's back, and we see that she's come to help because she cares about Atticus. And although he is angry with her, Leti seems to be upset that she loves Atticus, which makes sense on the one hand, but since we know the backstory, it's kind of annoying. We see that the book that Atticus has as he comes out of the portal says George Freeman, but we realize it's not our Uncle Daddy George. It is his son, George. Letty gives Christina the negatives that show Titus's pages. Titus's pages?
Yeah.
Titus's pages.
Titus.
And then she also tells Ruby that she's pregnant. Like I said, we see Topsy and Bopsy. And at the end, one of them scratches Dee's arm as she tries to fight them off. And the climax shows that the protection spell that Atticus and Montrose, they spoke. The spell that they used actually worked, and now Atticus has his own Shoggoth. I'm assuming that's how we pronounce it, which is the many-eyed beast. And his is black, by the way. It's kind of cool.
Yeah,
And then
representation for all monsters here. Yeah.
Y'all go
We
ahead.
need more we need more monsters of color.
No, it's just
So Courtney, what do you think about this episode? I'll just give your like overarching thoughts about what you think about it.
it's a lot. I think it was a really well done episode. I feel so bad for Montrose, honestly, the whole time. If I have to pause, it's because I'm gonna sneeze because like I have one coming on ever since the countdown, and then I'm like I was trying to sneeze during the countdown and I couldn't. But I felt really bad for Montrose because again, it's like the therapist in me was like, this dude's about to go through so much PTSD, and I was right. Like the amount, like he had to relive all of that trauma. But at least I think, like Atticus was being a real asshole towards him, like big time. And I'm like Atticus, like when Montrose kept like freezing up, and Atticus is like, "We don't have time for your bullshit today." And I'm like, Atticus, do you not know what happened in Tulsa? Because it sounds like y'all know what happened in Tulsa, and you know your daddy was in Tulsa, and you're being mean to him, even though he's reliving a very traumatic day. So at least he kind of like he understood, you know, the cycle of abuse, what his dad went through, and kind of explained why Montrose is the way he is. And they did get the book of names, and again, Leti, again living through so much trauma, having to witness this woman burn like the great grandmother of her future son burn alive. So I think it was really well done. I liked it better than the last episode. But yeah, I think it was well done. So, and we knew it was going to be in Tulsa too. So I had a feeling it was going to be like an emotional roller coaster for sure.
So do you agree? What do you think about this episode?
It was fast. It was like a whole lot happening at one time.
It was 8 minutes short, by the way. Yeah.
It robbed us, but still, it felt long because I remember looking down at the clock and I was like, "Man, it's only 8:30." So still a lot that happened, even with them robbing us of our 8 minutes. Probably more like 9 because they had to do the preview. But I thought it was very good. I thought it was traumatic because like y'all were mentioning, Montrose just like I just felt myself saying, "Oh my gosh, Montrose, oh my gosh, Montrose," the whole time.
I was like, poor baby, but even though he's like a grown man older than me, I was like, poor baby the whole time.
He's trying to sneak in. Y'all see he trying to sneak in? They gonna sneak in. But yeah, I really did enjoy it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I kept thinking that this was the finale because of the other show that we watched.
Yeah, me too. I thought the same thing.
We got one more, so yeah. Did you already say if you liked the running? I missed it.
Oh no, I haven't. I was waiting on you. I haven't given my thoughts yet, but no, I really like this episode. I will say I didn't say this last week, but knowing that this episode is going into Tulsa, I was a bit worried because we did mention like there's a very thin line between showing us things that like basically historical fiction and just torture porn. And I was like, don't give us that. But the way this episode played out, it kind of scaled things down and made it personal while still showing everything that happened in the Tulsa massacre. And I think that's important. So I think that was good that they like kind of scaled it down and showed how it affected the family while still showing everything that happened all over Tulsa. So yeah, like Courtney said, this episode was well done, and I'm glad that they did it that way. So let's finally get into the episode.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think they did Tulsa about as well as they could do Tulsa in the context of the show.
So yeah, from our previous episode, we actually had a few comments, and by the way, the preface for this, like, we don't pretend to be like the authority on any of this, so you could feel free to like disagree or give us your take. We actually, welcome like different perspectives, but yeah, we had some opinions about Ruby, our takes about Ruby and Christina, and they disagree with us. So how are we feeling about Christina and Ruby's relationship now?
I was right.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I mean, she pretty much just like, yeah, I used you. Like I was gonna say, not towards that specific comment because I even forgot about that one. And like when we disagree with people, it's like nothing personal. It's nothing personal. Like, but there were a lot of people. Again, like Christina still is racist in her own way. Like I have to preach this as like white women like just because we're oppressed by white men too doesn't mean they're your ally automatically. And the whole time, like, I would love for like that to be a genuine thing. I mean, not for Christina, but whatever. But she was using Ruby the whole way, and she finally admitted it to Ruby. What we all knew. So, like, yes, Ruby deserves that kind of love, but unfortunately, that she's not getting it, which was the point. Like, in a perfect world, yes, but this is not a perfect world. So.
But the craziest part is that she admitted it, but still was kind of making it almost trying to make you read between the lines in a way.
She's manipulative.
Yeah, because she's like, I know, yes, you were there and I saw an opportunity and I took it, but I didn't use you. I'm like, bitch, that's the definition of using somebody.
But
What are you talking about?
Here's the thing with that. Christina knew she could go after Ruby. Like, she knew Ruby was the one to try. And it's because as we've been saying, like, throughout these recaps, that wedge between Ruby's relationship with Leti. So yeah, Ruby was kind of like the one to try if you were going to like infiltrate the family. So yeah, she's totally being used, and Christina kind of admitted, like, yeah, if Atticus dies, he dies. We don't care. And because yeah, it's almost like she tried to like proposition her, like, hey, like,
she
Atticus
admitted
doesn't
that
die.
too.
Yeah, and then she was like, he's gonna die, so what? And then Ruby was like, okay, cool, can we still do the thing we're doing? All right, cool. So yeah,
make sure my sister's gonna be cool though, right? Okay, cool.
right. So yeah, like, my opinion on the thing is, there could be a good character that's not a good person. There could be a good character that isn't making the best decisions. Like Ruby's character is a fully fleshed out character. Like, Ruby's a really good character, but I mean,
like, look at Christina, like the things that she said again, and with the whole Emmett Till thing, like, I'm not going to revisit that. But I, like I said, Christina has shown us again and again, she's in it for herself. And I don't know why all of a sudden that Ruby would be an exception.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, like, just because it's a woman doesn't mean she's above manipulating and using and gaslighting. Mm-hmm. Like, that's like the point I want to drive home, is that just because it's a woman does not mean she's above that. So, yeah, like, we can want that, but I think some people took a little bit, like the Ruby and Christina shipping, a little bit too far, like knowing who Christina is. So, and just knowing the timeline, I just, like, that kind of shipping made me uncomfortable for Ruby's sake. For Ruby's sake, I'm just like, y'all are getting a little bit too idealistic for me. So, and if it was, it's like people approached it from like almost like a white savior standpoint with Christina and Ruby. And like, I think like people need to be very careful with that. I think people need to be so careful with that. Again, like, white women are your friend. Like 53% of white women voted for Trump. Like, and Christina has over and over again shown that she's not people's friend. So again, like, Ruby is not an exception. She deserves it, but I mean, but also Ruby wasn't lying about Atticus either with Leti. I mean, because she doesn't even know Atticus is like that. Like, because again, Leti is not getting the love that she deserves from Atticus, and Ruby's trying to warn her. I'm like, well, Ruby's intoxicated by this white dick, but she's not wrong about Atticus.
White demon dick.
Right, demon dick. Yeah, the demon sex. She's intoxicated by it, but no, she wasn't really that wrong about Atticus either. Because again, I don't think he's given her the love and attention that she's deserved.
Does she like? It seems like she doesn't really like Atticus.
I don't think she likes Atticus.
Like,
I don't think
she doesn't.
She ain't really feeling him. But the other thing that made me a little like, like, Ruby was being very hypocritical, and I'm listening to her speak, and I'm thinking, you're not really understanding what you're saying, because she's telling Leti, you're just like mama running behind your men. And I'm thinking, Christina's a woman right now, but you're doing the same thing. Because as soon as she turns into William,
that's what I'm saying. It's like with women, like, people just act like, again, like, it's the same thing. Like, again, like with domestic abuse, why people think it's funny when a woman does it. Like, it's not, like, people just don't think it, like, women. And again, to me, I'm not gonna. It's a whole essay. Like, people just don't look at white women that way, and that's why white women get away with so much. So that's why I'm like, again, urging people as a white Caucasian woman to be careful when you're, you know, thinking about these kind of things. You know what I mean? Like I'd absolutely be fine with her, you know, if it was a white woman, if it wasn't Christina. Like again, like you have to think about this. Like if you like Ruby, you should like her as a character enough to want better for her than Christina.
Mm-hmm.
Way more than Christina, because I don't trust Christina at all. I don't trust anything she says. And
She
her
hasn't done
saying,
one selfless thing.
didn't she say something to the effect of my ascension has been planned out from the very beginning, or something along those lines?
She still sees herself as superior. Let's not.
She does, and
Like,
Ruby
the thing
not
that she
seeing that
said
is just
to
annoying.
Atticus, yeah, like I mean, Ruby didn't hear the comment, and like, but the listeners, the viewers that are like standing this relationship, I have heard the comment that she made to Atticus, like, you know, you still are son of Adam, despite that like line being tainted. Like an ally wouldn't say that, even if like you didn't mean it in like that way. Like you still wouldn't say it. Like
Ruby's
she's a
not
woman.
listening.
Yeah, she's not. But like again, like white women are oppressed, but that doesn't mean they can't oppress others. Like I want to get this across because I feel like I know I'm going on a tangent, but even on the Reddit and on Twitter, I've seen way too many people like, yes, Ruby and Christina, and I'm like, I think y'all are getting in your own way for this problematic ass relationship.
It is, and Ruby's not hearing. She didn't. Not only is Ruby not hearing what we heard, as far as the lines, like you said about the tainted bloodline and all of that. Ruby's not listening to what Christina is even saying to her. The things she's actually saying, she's being willfully obtuse at this point, because I think she's kind of addicted to that potion, or being a white woman in a way.
Yeah,
I think
because now she's trying to change her hair and all of this. Like she's now becoming this white woman.
And I think too, I think in her mind it's like Christina likes me for me and not to use me.
She's got to know better. She has to know better. Right?
I think but here's like, think about like Christina took advantage of Ruby in a very vulnerable situation. She manipulated her. So like, and I think like again, like I think Ruby is still, you know, as much as I love her, a very insecure person.
I'm very sad.
And very sad and like has those vulnerabilities, and Christina has been taking advantage of that. Like this is like a textbook toxic relationship, regardless of the race, regardless of the gender. Like at its core, Christina is using Ruby in nothing and for no other purpose.
Yeah, and I think that's what made me so angry about her I'm trying to think her annoyance with Leti, because I'm thinking you've seen it. You know what it looks like, but you can't see it in yourself. And I know people do that all the time, but it's just, again, that whole thing where you can't break the cycle, because she's doing the thing she's accusing Leti of, running behind men. She's doing the exact same thing, but she can't see it. It's crazy.
Well, I think in her mind is, well, technically it's not the same. Like it's still in your mind.
Technically.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. That's what I'm hoping.
I'm hoping it gets so Ruby portrays Christina in there. Yeah.
Let's not even call it a betrayal. Let's just say
comeuppance.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. I hope that this is a long game. Ruby's playing a long game. Something Christina said clicked in her mind and pissed her off, and now she's using what she has for now. Because did y'all notice that now she's like, whatever she has to do to make the potion or whatever it looks like, Ruby knows how to do it on her own. So I'm wondering if that's kind of like she's doing enough to get what she needs, where she won't need Christina anymore. Maybe.
I certainly
maybe use that white womanhood to an advantage that'll actually help them.
Yeah,
instead of being a bully.
It'd be wild if Christina dies and Ruby is just like, you know what? I like being a white woman. Let me become
Christina.
Or she becomes Christina.
Yeah.
Because she kind of became a little too high on that white womanhood a little too quickly. Let's not forget that, you know, how she, even though like, and it was sometimes it was a helpful way, but she like very quickly embarrassed her black coworker. Like within days of having this power, I'm assuming.
That's how it goes sometimes. Well, y'all, we got a lot to cover. Go for it, Ronnie.
Sorry, I had to get on that tangent.
No. The tangent was needed.
I
Yeah,
noticed
yeah.
it too much to not say anything. And like, because I'm like, I feel like people are getting kind of lost. And I'm like, you need to come back and like look at this. It's
Like,
gross
not
to me.
not in your will they won't they rom-com cutesy eyes, in the
No.
reality of
We
it. And
don't
see that this
ship
is not
that.
cool.
If
Yeah,
you like
this-
Ruby, you want her to not be in a toxic relationship.
This has been the year of rooting for terrible relationships because people are like jumping over to our other recap. People also love like Homelander and the Nazi. So yeah, stop rooting for these terrible
Yeah,
relationships.
stop rooting for racist white women in general.
Yeah. So
So
so what were our thoughts when we saw Hippolyta walk through the door?
you know what's so funny? I had just said, I was like, where's Hippolyta? And like 2 minutes later she shows up.
Mhm.
I'm like, Hippolyta, come get your baby.
You did, and I think I saw you either tweet it or say it, or
I
think
tweeted
maybe,
it
or
and I
maybe we
said it.
talked
I did
about it
both.
last week too.
Yeah, I think I had tweeted it and I said it last week too. So
But I was very happy to see her, and she was so calm. She's just like, D6, like you just walk in like you haven't been missing for how long was she gone? Who knows?
but it
they're
sounds
like,
like she became like almost like a higher consciousness.
Yeah.
She's
Oh, yeah.
like, I'm like, my brain is on like 3008
Like,
and you're
Third
2000.
eye open.
Mm.
Yeah,
Like,
she's got the eye open.
Came back with the kufi on. Yes.
She got eyes everywhere. Third one ain't.
I love
tweeting.
that moment where she was like, "Oh, it's the motherboard," and because it's forever ago, Letty's like, "What's a motherboard?"
Yeah. Because at first I was like, what do you mean? But I was like, oh, because we haven't even reached the point where big computers are in the room of IBM yet. So of course she doesn't know what the heck a motherboard is. But yeah, I'm glad that Hippolyta came back to save the day as she always does. Yeah,
Girls
it was
get
nice
it
to see
done.
Girls get it done.
she came in propagating confusion.
She did.
The third eye.
She did. So she said that she was there. She said over 200 or 2,000
Yeah, she said-
years.
200
She said
years.
it was like
200
in
years.
this time, like the perception of time in this universe, it would have been 200 years,
Mhm.
but it was just
Mhm.
a couple of days.
Mm.
I mean, think about it.
Well-
If you live 200 years, how much wisdom you'd get.
We were wrong about her bringing back George, though.
Yeah,
Or were we?
Oh, were we?
maybe she saw that he cheated, and she's like,
She's like, nah, leave his ass
No,
there.
I won't need that. Speaking of coming back, that whole situation in Tulsa was massive. Like the whole thing was crazy, and I kept thinking about Montrose because it's probably one of the most traumatic days of his life.
Mhm.
And they were asking him, okay, in order to save D, you got to go back to that day.
And I think he was
Relive it.
blaming himself for what happened to D2, but everyone was blaming
Nothing.
him. Even though he didn't know. He didn't know. That's the thing. He didn't know. And they're blaming him. And I'm just like at first, like, I was like, what an asshole this guy is. But now I'm just like, I don't know if it's just a therapist in me, but I'm just like, poor Montrose just needs someone. He just needs therapy desperately.
But Ruby told him that she's like, stop, you're doing this, cut it out. It's all your faults. Everybody's to blame. Now, what do we do now? Like, you know what?
Mhm.
She's right. It's everybody's
Right.
fault. It really is.
Yeah, everybody
neglected
ignored
her.
D, so yeah.
I did read something like someone posted this long, like kind of short essay showing that's kind of like an allegory about how young Black girls are always ignored by society and forgotten. So I'm like, I rewatched it. I was like, yep, that pretty much is exactly what that is. It's just kind of like a representation about even like how young Black girls go missing nowadays, and no one really says anything. So
Yeah, I really
I
wish
think that every week, Mia, every single week, I really wish I hadn't watched this episode before the beginning of the work week. Amen. They give
sorry,
us
I'm not laughing at that. I have the remnants of a margarita. My mom was like, "Why are you drinking wine through a straw?" Listen, I'm not that bad. This is the remnants of a margarita. But she's like, "Why are you drinking wine through a straw?" I'm not that bad.
Is tomorrow a holiday or no?
Yeah, it is for me because I work for the government.
Oh, it's federal. Okay. Anyway,
I
so
just wanted to let you know I'm not that kind of white woman as I preach against them. Just let me know.
I think Tulsa, like I said, compacting on them being there in the first place, reliving the day, You have to relive it knowing that there is nothing you can do to
Nothing you can
change
do.
anything. And even Montrose saying the smallest, little, tiniest, insignificant thing. This boy doesn't mean anything to any of you. I've never even mentioned him to any of you, but that was a very powerful scene. Powerful scene with him and Atticus in that alley when they were discussing about, what did he say? I had to
You
had
called
to
him the
cut
F
out all of
word.
the soft parts of me because men have sons.
Yeah.
And that is just like, it was tough because in the beginning, at the very beginning, it felt like he was saying, I've considered everything that could happen, and I still want to go warn him because that's more important. But then he turned right back around and said, I had to do all of these things. I had to sacrifice all of these things because you had to be my son. You had to be. And I'm just like, oh, this is too much.
Yeah, and it was tough to watch for me because there was a brief moment earlier in the episode, and it seemed like Atticus was like becoming more accepting of Montrose. Like if Montrose opens the mason jar, he takes a swig. Atticus takes it from him. He like looks at him for a second, then he drinks behind him. But he pauses and looks at Montrose as he's doing it. I think that's showing him like, okay, I'm cool with this. But then Montrose has to drop the news that, hey, Uncle George might really be Daddy George, and that just totally ruins it because now he's going back to thinking like, oh, well, you're that person I saw running out the apartment chasing after Sam. So yeah, and just seeing Montrose throughout this entire episode, it was pretty hard to watch on like multiple levels. I mean, from his like abuse to seeing like a childhood friend who is possibly a lover being killed in front of him. Like it was just rough.
I think it wasn't until Atticus saw, I guess, essentially what was his grandfather, abuse Montrose that he really understood. I think in that moment, that was the moment that he understood exactly what was going on. Then he saw his mom go out and defend Montrose, and then he's like, okay, I kind of am starting to understand what this relationship was a little bit more, because Montrose was like, your mom was always there for me and always defended me. And you even saw her like come at George for not defending his own brother. So,
and I love the fact that he corrected Atticus about that too, because he said when Dora said, why aren't you, it seems like he takes more licks than you do. And he told him, no, she was wrong because he took up for me more than anybody else. And I thought that was beautiful because I'm like, now somebody, at least he has somebody in the house. And it makes sense because you can tell that they're close. George and Montrose are close. For them to have that secret for all this time, they had to be close. And then, like he said, with Dora, you go through something that traumatic, it bonds you for life. I can't imagine how it could not. You know what I mean? So it was very nice to see that. It was I guess difficult for me, and I'm sure most people, if you're have a soul at all, to see that scene with Montrose being beaten, because that was not a switch, by the way.
That was a branch.
That was a whole branch. Like I feel like all of us like have had a switch moment. My mom would never have chosen one that big. No, but she loves me.
You know which switch to pick. You know, if you make it too small, you're gonna have to go back. And you know, if you make it, you gotta be ridiculous.
Sometimes the small ones can pick up wind. You gotta be careful about that.
Right, those are ones that sting. But that was not a switch. Like I'm wondering how he even broke it off the tree because it was that large. But I liked when Leti said, when Montrose said, I deserved it. And Leti said, nobody deserves that. I thought that was very, I guess, reassuring in a way. But I can only imagine how Atticus felt in that moment because he's thinking, you're right, nobody deserved it. And it had to be I guess, in a way, you feel bad for Montrose because you're watching it, but then you think about the fact that you had that same violence, and I want to point out that was violence. That was not loving correction, sparing the rod, whatever. That was violence. But him having the same violence enacted upon him, I wonder how conflicting that is. You know what I mean? Like how could you do this to me? You know what it feels like Why would you do it to me?
And again, like obviously Atticus won't know this, but it's just a cycle of abuse.
Mm-hmm.
That's all Montrose knew. And that's why people are like, well, why don't, again, this is just a therapist in me speaking out, just a social worker in me speaking out, is that a lot of people don't understand. It's like, people would think it's like, oh, they would know better. It's like, no, that's all you knew. That is all you knew growing up. And that's why we're like, how you treat someone from childhood is the most important, because that is defining as to who they're going to be as an adult. So, and probably Montrose's and George's dad was the same, treated the same way, and probably goes way far back. So, not that it excuses anything, but it kind of gives context to it. So, like, we'll hope that maybe we'll see what happens with Atticus. That Atticus would break the cycle, but there's no guarantee unless you therapy.
And Leti.
And Leti, like, yeah.
I was about to say, I hope one family cycle is broken. They got to stop wearing like tight
like,
t-shirts.
I feel like, seriously, they love those. But no, I feel like Dora it seems like she would have been the person too, but it seems like she died when Atticus was really young. So,
excuse me, Jonathan Majors, we appreciate what you're doing in the weight room, baby.
That's fine.
You wear whatever.
Yeah, I was gonna say he can wear.
He cannot wear tight. I care.
He can wear as tight of a shirt as he wants. I don't care.
Oh God.
He's the kind of person like he won't get mad at me for putting the shirt in the hot water, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. He's like, no, it's fine. I like it a tighter fit anyway, because he's that understanding of a person.
Please behave, please. we have a recap here.
Also, shouts out to Will Catlett. He's I think that's how you pronounce his last name, but he's the actor that played Montrose's father. Yeah. And I mean, I shouted him out so much because I remember him from back on a show that I used to watch on YouTube. So I just think it's great when you see people go from there on up. Yeah. So the scene. Okay, so now that we've gotten past, at what point did y'all figure out that Atticus was the stranger? I honestly didn't get it until
he picked up the bat.
Until he kicked it. When he kicked the bat, I was like, "Oh, this is it. This is it."
Well, I didn't get it until Montrose was like, "You're the stranger," and I almost like I'm sniffly because my allergies, but I got choked up a little bit because it's just like it's so deep. It's so deep that like that moment for me, and like. Just as much as Montrose has been through, and like Atticus like stepped in there, and I was just like that. Like despite all like the chaos, I think you tweeted that, Dee, like within all of the chaos and all the trauma happening, like that was such a beautiful moment. That like his own son.
It really was, because it's like I get to save my dad, I get to save my mother, and I get to save my other dad.
Both of my dads.
I get to save my daddies and my mom. I honestly, I think the most, I guess I can't say most heartbreaking because nothing's worse than that fire. But that moment with Montrose wanting to go and save his friend, that was tough. Like that was really, really, really hard.
And knowing you can't, and that's the hardest thing, is like knowing you can't because you don't know what it'll do.
I think a part of Montrose is like was thinking, if I save him, I can also save myself.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking too.
Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because he gets to be with him. What was his name? Thomas?
Yeah, they definitely had something going on.
Or flirted with it. Like it may not have gone that far because they were still figuring each other out.
I think it's when he called him the F word just to make his distance. Yeah, which I know hurt. And he
just got beat senseless. So yeah. So I think that's exactly right, Courtney, because this was directly right. I mean, this is right after his beating, right? That's where he went. He ran away to him. The small things made it hurt more. Like they canceled the prom, which means they knew something was brewing.
Yeah.
Like there was.
But it looks like the white kids went ahead and had their prom.
Of course they did.
So.
Like, why not? But did you see how like all these beautiful Black people were just walking around? They were
and wealthy. It looks like they were wealthy and like well off too. And it was just like I noticed like they made a point to show that like the one woman like trying out things in the store, which I know for that time, like again in many cities that could have been rare, but again like the white people and just them coming up after Leti like that, I was just like. Phew.
It just makes you wonder what kind of evil must live in a person
a monster. Yeah, but they're still a human. That's the thing.
It's weird,
like,
right? They're monsters. They've been showing us pretty much that there's evil all around us.
and it's like they were angry that they were well off.
Well, that's what it was about, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it was.
It's like
exactly
how
what it was.
it's almost like a how dare you.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, which makes no sense. Like my happiness has nothing to do with yours except the fact that you're angry that both of us drive a Mercedes. But I can't be proud of mine and brag on mine if you have one too. Like that doesn't work.
This is for the people watching that look like me. Like I need to iterate. Like this isn't a TV show, but this was a real historical event that happened on these exact reasons that we're talking about. And these people are not dead. These people are your grandparents. So
exactly.
That's for the people. I'm not preaching to the choir. It's for the people I know that look like me that may not know that. Because I didn't learn about Tulsa until I was in my African American Studies class.
I'm saying when I learned about
college.
Tulsa, me, DeAndre, the black girl, Watchmen.
Oh wow.
Really?
Yeah, and I mean, and I say learn about it because you hear Tulsa, you hear the word, but you don't. And for anybody that wants to know, I'm not ashamed of that. I'm embarrassed that I wasn't taught that.
Not trying to cut you off. I don't think the problem is you, or I don't think you should be ashamed just now learning about this. I think the larger problem is like, why is our education system suppressing stories like these? Like why?
I didn't even hear it in my U.S. history class in college. Like I learned it in my African American studies class.
Exactly. And I wish I had taken something like that in college.
And I've seen people on Twitter get shamed, like shaming other people. It's like, no, it's not anyone's fault that this is being erased from history. Like, yeah, I agree with Ron. Like, people need to, like, you shouldn't be ashamed. Like, even if you learned about Tulsa from tonight, it's not really your fault. Yeah. Now, if you go and acted like it still didn't happen, then it's your fault. We got a problem. But it's like, it's
the box is open.
It's not your fault that it's being erased from history.
Yeah, it's just it's like it's so. I feel more angry than embarrassed because these are stories that we deserve to learn about. You know what I mean? I learned Alabama history, of course, 4th and 9th grade because I had to.
I mean, there were people in Chicago that didn't know about the race riots there.
Yeah. So, you learn about the 16th Street bombing, you learn, the 4 little girls, you learn about Martin Luther King and the quote, air quote, greats. And that's not, me saying they're not great, but I'm saying that we have a list of people in a box that we are taught about.
And I am honestly amazed that we're even taught about the 16th Street Baptist Church, thinking about how many things are erased. But honestly, I'm like, maybe it's so recent in history that they can't erase it.
Well, we learned because I'm from Alabama. I'm pretty sure that's the only reason.
I'm from Birmingham. I'm from Birmingham too. But even then, I'm like, I think it's because like it's so recent and it was like on news is the only reason that wasn't erased. But like even people in Chicago, like I'll be like, oh, I think we were watching a documentary. It's like, oh yeah, I know exactly where that is. It's a few blocks from where I went to college. They're like, I never even heard about the 16th Street Baptist bombing, and I was like shocked. I was like, how did you not know about? I'm like, that's a major historical event that started the major part of the civil rights movement. And they're like, I didn't know that, and I'm just like, I guess it is an Alabama thing. I was in shock.
Yeah, that's why I try to tell people.
Like I'm sure people in Tulsa,
please just go see it.
So important.
I've never been There are 2 times I've been very, very, very proud of Birmingham, Civil Rights Institute and Doug Jones. Seriously, Doug Jones, I was just like, what?
One of the nicest
happened?
People, by the way.
How do we do this? This is great. But
yeah,
if
you have any opportunity, this is to say, if you have any opportunity to be anywhere near Birmingham, go to the Civil Rights Institute. It's a major part of history, and even the park right outside it. It's really important. It's really important that you just go and to support it financially as well. Donate. So anyway,
did you guys? I felt like, and it wasn't hard to see, but that Leti holding that book in the house on fire was her dream, and the fire in Tulsa with the planes and everything else that lady was walking through, that felt like the dream that Atticus had on the very first
with
episode.
his yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I think
yeah.
it was a callback to I forget who his great whatever grandmother Hannah,
Mhm.
because
Hannah.
she's a pregnant woman with the same bloodline,
Mhm.
holding the book, getting out of a fire.
Exactly.
So
Yep. I thought that speech that was that his cousin? The
I
woman
think
who gave Leti the book, is that Atticus's or great? No, that was had to be his great grandmother, because she said when my great grandson
his cousin.
does
There was
something.
something.
I think that was her. I think that was his great grandmother. I
Yeah,
think it was his great grandmother.
because she called Letty's baby her great grandson.
Yeah, so I think that's
So-
Dora's mother.
Because she did mention like basically I have to protect the future of my family by dying. Like she said, I'm paraphrasing here, but she did say something to that effect.
Yeah, and I thought that was very cool because she said when my great grandson is born, his birth will be my faith turned to flesh.
Yeah,
I think that's what she said. I'm like, this is too much.
That was really deep. I was like, wow,
this is a lot. And for her to stand there in the midst of that fire and the flame and listen to AJ says it's Dora's grandmother, which makes sense. It tracks. Yeah. But for her to stand there in the midst of all that flame and pray with Leti, and I can only imagine how afraid she was.
Mm-hmm.
But just to stand in her faith in that moment, that was heavy. I mean, against the magic, like I'm gonna stand in my faith because I know this is gonna happen. That's how solid I am with this, which is a lot. Because if they've got magic in their bloodline, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I did laugh for a second when she like turned to Leti and basically pulled a gun on her and like, who the hell you is with these 1950 shoes on?
I know. I knew the shoes look funny. I knew the shoes were gonna do it when she started. When Attic said we've got to blend in, and she didn't change her shoes. I said they're gonna notice her shoes. Somebody's gonna say something about her shoes.
Because like, just imagine, like, I don't know, it's like with some of these wacky ass shoes, and you're just like, and everything else is normal, and you're just like.
Somebody come up with the Marty McFlys.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I recognize them. Those haven't come out yet. I've been waiting on them. How you do?
Yeah. You got different sneakers out than I do.
They must have just dropped those.
Today. Okay, so we've got Montrose, we've got Atticus, we've got Leti, so Dora, Atticus, and Montrose have this bond. They're like a threesome, and not in a sexual way. I don't. I'm just saying, you say the word, it gets, But they're this trio, and you can tell they seem like they're really at this point best friends. The three of them, they're family. It seems though that it's kind of implied that though their marriage was a thing, maybe Montrose did have sex with Dora, like at least once, and then was just like,
maybe I would be convinced that if he did, it was to try to convince himself he wasn't gay.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Because he keeps saying, I swallowed my pride when I realized that you may have been his son. I'm like, well, if you're not sleeping with her, then it's gotta be.
Or maybe that they were only trying to have a kid. Because he still wanted a son. He probably stomached it so he could have a child. Because there are gay couples or there was like gay men in relationships or gay women in relationships where they do partake in straight sex just so they can have a child.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe he knew Dora was having sex with somebody and just never, thought about it. Because why? But then it was like, wait a minute, it could be George.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird.
I mean, it seems like she was dating George too.
Yeah.
When did Hippolyta come into the picture?
Yeah. Also, okay.
So wait a second. Is Dora the woman that George danced with in the mindfuck rooms?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Also, the girl that said, Don't tell George that I'm sweet on him. Who was that?
I thought that was Dora's
sister. Because I thought, I was like, is this Hippolyta? But
was she?
I thought it was Dora's sister. And the only reason I say that is because it did not seem that Hippolyta was familiar with Tulsa.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I was thinking. I was like, that can't be Hippolyta. So
Yeah,
who?
I think
Yeah,
that was just Dora. I think she's Dora's sister,
Yeah,
okay.
or
probably.
somebody in Dora's family. Because I'm almost positive it had to be Dora's sister because she was saying Daddy's got the gun in the back and all that
Yeah.
stuff. So I think it was Dora's sister.
Okay.
Imagine how painful that was for Letty to like send her on, like knowing these people were gonna die. Like just again the trauma she goes through.
And telling her, yes, it's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be fine. And I'm like, no, it's not.
Yes,
It's not. And I was hoping that she stuck with it though and didn't change anything. But I think the fact that she had to think about her child is what pushed her on, because anything could change it, and then now you don't know what you've done. And I kept
honestly,
thinking,
if she wasn't pregnant, knowing who like the kind of person Letty is, she probably would have warned them if she wasn't pregnant.
I think she would have too. And I think my first thought when Atticus and Montrose were in the alley and Montrose wanted to tell Thomas, Atticus was saying, think about the consequences. What if you change something? My first thought was he's not going to shoot. Thomas isn't the one that's going to get shot. Montrose is.
Montrose, and it fucks everything up.
Yeah, and then Atticus, of course, being his selfish self. Well, if you die, I don't exist.
Yeah,
and then Montrose still tried to take off after that.
Imagine Montrose dies, and then Atticus is still there because he's George's kid.
No, he just goes away like in Looper. He just disappears.
But I was thinking that Montrose was going to get shot in the past. Yeah. Honestly, I thought he was going to run there and get shot.
The old Montrose or the young?
The old Montrose gets shot. I was convinced he was not going to make it out of Tulsa.
I was thinking he was, and then when the portal closed, I thought it again. I was like, oh, he's just gonna die. He's just gonna go out there.
Like, don't do that. I was like, don't do that to him. Like, have him die again in one of the most traumatic experiences.
There, I know, right? Of all places,
I think I would have been upset. I actually would have been upset.
Me too, because I want something good for Montrose, and I don't by any means think he's a good man.
I think he might try to save Atticus
from Christina. I wouldn't be surprised. Do you think that dyslexia is going to play a part in anything?
Because they made a point. Like when the spell, I was like, "You have a dyslexic man saying a spell for you?" I have a feeling.
Exactly. Yeah. Because that was the point. He said, I get words mixed up from time to time. And he's like, what you mean from time to time? I'm like, he's dyslexic. Atticus, duh. Like, duh.
But like he says a whole different spell and it actually helps them.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like
maybe that's why the Shagas is black.
Maybe
it is black because his third eye is open, my sister. You must stop propagating the lies of the white man by thinking the Shagas can.
That I tagged y'all in that have the light right in the forehead.
I need an eye sticker. Just put it
and we just throw the beanies on and we can turn them on and off. I'm telling you.
We have our moments. But I mean, I'm thinking that maybe not only because he's a black man and he's the one that casts a spell, I'm thinking maybe his dyslexia may have, thrown something off in there. Because someone else mentioned too that his didn't seem to react to light or fire.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
And his was calmer too, because Christina had to use a whistle, and his just listened to him.
So
he's also a son of Adam too, so I think he may have a whole different kind of.
That's true.
And where did it go?
I guess back in the ground.
Yeah.
It's like, bye, I'll talk to you later.
Put it in a doghouse, I guess.
Back.
Before I forget,
we have to talk about the guy whose name we won't name, about him stealing black people's bodies to survive. Is that what you're about to say?
Yes. Forget. We're right here. We here. I was just about to say, what do we think about that? Because remember, we were trying to figure out whether he was actually doing the Buffalo Bill thing or if it was necrosis, and we see now that's what it is.
Black body, but is he dead? Because it looks like Christina watched him die.
I think Christina, did she say something to the effect of every time she changes into William, he dies again, and that's what she wanted for him. So it seems like whatever she did, whatever that little totem or whatever Ruby planted in the office did something to the spell.
Ooh, I didn't even think about that.
Hold on. AJ raises a good point. So AJ says Christina probably gave him the wrong spell, like intentionally trying to,
Look at AJ.
screw him over. And then Montrose's dyslexia corrected the spell by
Montrose is what?
huh?
Papa.
Montrose is what? Corrected it? Really?
I said dyslexia.
Oh, okay.
What you thought I said?
I heard it. It just sounded.
That's not what I said. Okay. Well, whatever. You know what I said.
You probably did. It just sounded funny because you say the whole word instead of breaking it. I say, well, I would say dyslexia, like dyslexia, and you
say dyslexia, Ron. Say it.
Yeah.
Dyslexia.
No, see, you didn't say it that time
Like
like that.
We're gonna have to.
That's how I said it.
We're gonna have to
it
play the
wasn't.
tapes back. We have to take the tapes
We'll
back.
play it back, Chris.
Yes, AJ, we are ignoring you
Purposefully.
purposefully.
All right.
No, put that one up. You gotta put that comment.
We're not gonna do this. We are not gonna do this.
No, you have to put that comment up.
We're not gonna do this. So what's gonna happen on the finale?
No, wait,
Oh
we
my
have to
God,
put
I'm
up with the
sick of
cop. We're not
all
done.
of
We're not done talking about the pig.
Wait, before we get to the finale, are we is D fine? Is she good?
I think they're gonna amputate her arm. I think she's remember because
the metal
Atticus said something about the metal arm person. I think that's who she is.
You think so?
And do you think there's some kind of significance with Hippolyta's hair turning blue?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope that means she's just like, she's like Beyonce now.
Yeah.
Like she's just that's what she at.
Beyonce.
Didn't somebody else's hair turn blue? Am I thinking about Dragon Ball Z? I might be thinking about Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, I think you're thinking about Dragon Ball.
She just went Super Saiyan. That's all it is.
Hair
Okay.
turned blue on Dragon Ball. Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Goku. I mean, Goku. His hair turned blue. I mean, sometimes it turns gold and white and blue. It was
D's comic. Yeah,
it was.
I will put this one.
Something blue.
That's
Orinthia blue. I will put
Orinthia.
this one on the screen. Yeah, it was Orinthia blue.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is D like psychic or something?
D is on that.
Or is she?
higher
Or is
realm
she? Yeah.
Or maybe that was a story that Hippolyta told her or something.
Or no. Because remember, Christina was like, she's talented, even when she was like, I can see in her drawing. So maybe D has something like maybe it's premonitions or something. You know what I mean?
I think there's something like with them too, like
Maybe she's psychic. It, not psychic, like let me read your poem psychic, but like her drawings, she thinks they're comics, but they're really visions.
Maybe she has dreams of the future. Yeah. I think that they're gonna have to cut. I think this is what I think. I think
her mama's blood.
They reversed the curse, but to keep it from spreading, they cut the arm off.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying, AJ. I think her drawings. AJ says, "Remember the drawings." Her drawing monsters on the maps before they left. That's what I'm saying. I think she thinks she's just being clever, or that she has information and she's just drawing, being creative. But I think these are actual visions that she's getting, and she's just drawing them. Yeah, they've been telegraphing her having premonitions.
So the whole time, if they would have been paying attention to D's maps on the guide trip, yeah.
I mean, there was a hooded man with a sickle in Arkham.
And then there was they were like, yeah, let's drive right into this.
Yeah, let's go to Arkham. That's the perfect place. With the Grim Reaper, that's perfect.
What could have happened here? Yeah.
Nothing. I mean, it's not like the Grim Reaper rings death or anything.
Yeah. So yeah, what are we thinking for the finale?
I think Atticus might die, but he might be brought back.
The Book of Names has to do something, right? Bless you. It has to do something. There's what is the purpose of the Book of Names?
I think Christina's gonna die.
It's the Book of Names for spells. It has all the spells.
Yeah, it has all the spells. Yeah,
I think Christina's gonna die. I think Montrose might sacrifice himself. I think Atticus will die, and I think that they might cast a spell to bring him back.
We don't have much time. It's only 5 days since they said the what is it? Say it, Ronnie.
The equinox thing.
Yeah, what's it called?
Autumnal equinox.
Autumnal, yeah.
It was only 5 days since the last episode, so we down to like what, 3 days? at the most.
Yeah.
At the most. I wonder if they're going to use the time machine again, but I don't know. It looks like Hippolyta. They used up all that energy.
I don't know. Maybe she doesn't need it anymore.
Do you think that Christina gave Leti that invulnerability spell just because she knew they might go back in time to get the book?
Or to protect the baby?
The baby.
Mm-hmm. I
think she
it was more so
knows.
to protect the baby, but
I think
yeah.
she knows. I
Then
think
is
she
she
knows
trying
she's
to use
pregnant.
but what benefit would the baby be to Christina?
Atticus dies, giving her what she wanted, but she still has a direct tie to the bloodline through her and
That's
somebody
true.
else. So I don't know.
Or if something happens to Atticus, she just has to wait however
Yeah.
much time until the baby is born, because she
She's like,
specifically
well,
said she
I'll
needed
see you in
all
8
of his blood.
months.
I know,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
How long you got left there?
Yeah.
All right, now
All
keep
right.
yourself healthy. Because she said she needed all of his blood,
which
is, crazy.
a lot of blood. Yeah.
It's a lot of
Are
blood.
they going to keep? You think she would keep his body and keep it down in the basement like she's doing
Yeah.
William and Dale?
Possibly so.
Interesting. I think for the finale, I want Ruby to come back to the light. Come back into the light. I know it's not really light. It's more like a dim.
Come back to the dark, you mean?
Come back to the dark. I know, to the black. Come to the blackness. I know I shouldn't, but I like William. I know he's not real. I don't care. I like William. I don't like Christina. I know. I get that it doesn't make sense.
So
It
I
makes
so I
sense to me,
get
though.
so you have Ruby's mindset right now.
Yeah, but I know better because I know they're the same, right?
I'm just saying, like he must be packing something nice.
Man, you gotta be doing
Oh my
something.
god.
I mean, he
I
made
know
he made
it
a
is.
pop out of
I
skin.
know.
I want the captain to
Have some
die. Like, I want him to be
sausage.
dead. I want Captain, excuse me, whose
I want him
name
dead,
we
dead.
found that mission. I want him dead. Or if he does keep
Can it be
dying,
a painful
like Christina was
death?
saying, that'll be fine too.
I
Because
want
it
the most
seemed like
painful death.
she was saying he's gonna keep dying.
No,
Like, whatever.
she was saying I want 1,000 deaths for you, but I guess for you one will be
This
good
one's
enough.
gonna work.
Yeah.
Because she said something to the effect of, you were using it for your benefit and I figured I could use it for my good, or something to that effect.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So whatever spell he was using to bring himself back, she must have
So
reversed
that
it, so
told
that
him-
spell brought him did the opposite.
That's what that told him is, because
Mhm.
that was weird with the blood pouring out of the nipples.
Mm-hmm.
But
And I don't appreciate them saying, did he say something to the effect of, we can't kidnap any more niggers or something like that?
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
That's why you dead right now.
That's why you dead right now. Because Hiram had, how many were in Hiram's house?
uncountable. It's
like
like
that many in Hiram's house. So I wonder how many he's taken since then. And why black people? Like, does it have to be black people?
no.
Yeah, because AJ said, remember that thing that she snuck in, that Ruby had to sneak in. That was Ruby, right? That she snuck in the office.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. We think that that thing reverses whatever spell he was doing. It makes you have the adverse effect of
But
whatever.
I think it's because they just don't want to be killing white people with it. Like
okay, there you go. Black people are dispensable.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. And it's just so weird. You don't mind having their skin.
It's the same thing with Titus. So it's like not Titus, but you know who I mean. What's his name? Hiram.
Yeah, nobody investigate.
Exactly what AJ said.
And nobody will care. So
they did have one white guy. I didn't know who that was. So
he owed him money or something. Didn't he say that?
Yeah.
The one that was in the closet.
I'm sure that they'll have some white people, but they're probably just, like kidnap way more black people.
Okay, so Atticus, I think I'm with you guys on the whole him dying and coming back, because Gia saw it. She saw him die, or at least appear to die.
I think he's gonna come back because like Leti came back.
She did. Do you think Gia's gonna come back? Is she gone? Did she go back home?
I think she's gonna play a role.
I can imagine her coming.
What if Christina? No, I wouldn't like it, but I could see going like Christina's the 100th soul or whatever. She could kill Christina.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't like how that played out, but I could see it.
I don't care how Christina dies at this point. Like, just die.
It just needs to happen. Yeah.
I want Ruby to kill Christina. That's fine.
Just died. White guy was a criminal informant. That's why nobody noticed. Okay, AJ, that makes sense. I think I can't believe we're already down to.
You know what? I bet that is. It's because I used to work near Holman Square. I bet that missing, they're alluding to all like the Black people going missing, and because they're being held in a building in Holman Square.
That makes sense because again, who would notice? Preview. Did y'all watch it? I didn't watch it. I started to because we had so much time.
Can we watch it together again?
Yeah. Let me pull it up. Give me just
while
1
I
second.
sneeze a million times more. I promise I'm not saying it's just I'm asthmatic. This is the life that I live. This is when you're asthmatic in the South, your seasonal allergies are not seasonal. They're every day. The South is like hell to live in. I like it, but it's environmentally hell.
And YouTube, just so you won't ding us again, we are not taking credit for where we're about to show. Just want to put that out there.
Disclaimer: we do not own, or we don't
rights
own.
to this video.
What is like the words you need to use? We not own, nor do we claim to own the rights to this video.
Did they?
This is fair use. This is fair use. I know fair use. We are adding commentary. YouTube, this is fair use.
Yes, we are advancing the scholarship of Lovecraft by showing this. We do not claim the intellectual property. We're just advancing the conversation.
This falls under fair use. Yeah, volume. Okay. Ooh, one last secret.
Also, like side note, was Journey like Smollett like an athlete in real life? Because she's the most realistic runner.
She's got to
runner I've ever seen. Because like the form is impeccable. The form is impeccable.
It really is. Like she really is.
She's always running.
Running for her life.
So
I saw them get baptized.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Hippolyta's hair. It's gonna remain blue, which is cool. I didn't see George, but that may have been by design because he may still be there.
I'm telling y'all, George is coming back.
And Atticus said he has one last secret, and it looked like Atticus was holding a baby.
It looked like he said, "You're coming." Something to Christine about you're coming for my son.
Unless that was Montrose. Was it Atticus or Montrose?
Because
she was like, "This isn't personal."
Yeah.
How could it not be personal? You're trying to kill this. Okay.
I bet Christina, if she kills the baby or she tries to kill the baby, she's like, "Well, but you're still alive. You can have as many kids as you
can have more. It's fine. This is a win-win for everybody, right?
Right.
I wouldn't put it past her.
I wouldn't either.
But yeah, okay. So, one episode left.
Yeah, we have one last episode. If you've been watching this entire time, thank you. We'll likely have at least one more guest on next week, but there might be another guest or two on. We've been keeping Ebony on the bench because she read the book, but it's time that we finally, put her in the game. Yeah, so Ebony will be here with us next week.
Also,
thanks for watching.
Mia, send us your address. You get a cup. And Ronnie's mother, whom we love dearly, your son is going to send you a cup and a shirt. Right?
Yes, Mom, you get it. My mom's been like, I get a cup. Mom, we already talked about.
Yeah, you're yeah, shirts and cups are coming out. Yeah, they'll be They'll be shipping soon.
Yes, Mia, please send us your, if you're still here, send us your address
Hey,
via
AJ,
DM.
AJ, you do not get a cup.
AJ,
AJ,
you
you
get
don't get a
nothing.
cup.
You get nothing. You get nothing.
You don't get a cup.
Sorry.
I'll
AJ,
send you.
I will get you one of those little beanies that have the little light that you can turn on and off in the middle of the hood. I'll order you one of those.
AJ, I will send you a kufi.
WC. I'll
AJ, I will
put
send you a kufi and a dashiki. Yes, I will send you a KWC kufi. But yeah, so
I want a bonnet. I want a satin bonnet.
I sat and bought it with KWC. Yep.
Yeah, I want it all. I want a wine glass. I want a shot glass.
Oh, that would be nice.
I want a whole lot. I want a satin jacket. Don't nobody steal my idea now. I want a satin bomber jacket. I want everything.
He was really trying to pull the foot of the coop during the Doug Jones interview.
Yes. But yeah, so thanks for watching us. If you also have been watching been listening to our recaps for the boys, we will be going live tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central. Join us for that. Until next time, goodbye.